The memory harvest. Rain fell without rhythm, soft and directionless, the way it always did in the lowlands after a recalibration. Elena stood beneath the sheltering rim of a derelict tram station, fingers grazing the sleeve of her jacket where the threads had come loose. She wasn't waiting for a tram. Nothing had come down the tracks in years. She was waiting for her memory to stop echoing. It was a smell, sweet oranges over antiseptic, that had triggered it. A rush of faces, a voice and laughter, the feeling of her hand wrapped in another's. Then silence, not the absence of sound, but the thick, nauseating kind that filled her chest and pushed against her lungs until she almost forgot how to breathe. "You were twitching again," said a voice behind her. She turned. Theo. He always arrived like this, quiet as a cat, trailing the scent of solder and dust from the archive stacks. He offered her a dented thermos. "Drink something." "You're leaking again." She took the thermos and raised an eyebrow. "Not blood, the other kind." He meant memory. It was rare to leak so openly, so visibly. But then again, the city was fraying at the seams. The ether grid, which once filtered memories for security and mental hygiene, now pulsed unpredictably. Some people woke with someone else's childhood nestled like a parasite beneath their own. Others forgot their names, but remembered all the keys to an obsolete language no one spoke. Theo was a technician, one of the few still licensed to interface directly with the core, though he'd long since stopped logging his work. He'd told her once, between gulps of burnt tea, that the machines weren't broken. They were remembering things they were never built to know. "You need to stop walking through districts with unstable residue," he said. She didn't reply. She was thinking about the orange. She was thinking about her sister. In the upper tiers of the city, where the air was recycled too perfectly and windows didn't open, Dr. Maria Sanz observed her patient through the double glass of the neural chamber. The man's body was still, but the sensor blooms over his scalp flickered with irregular light. She turned to her assistant. "He's dreaming again?" "Looping," the assistant replied. "The same sequence. A corridor. A locked door. Music. And he can't exit?" "No. He keeps knocking." Mireya exhaled slowly. This was the 8th case this month. People weren't dreaming random nonsense anymore. They were getting stuck in recursive patterns, dreams that remembered themselves. That was the working theory, at least. She had tried telling her colleagues the human mind wasn't alone in the system anymore, that something in the ether grid had grown sentient, or close to it. They told her to adjust the dosages. End session 17. Let's scrub him gently this time. No burnouts. Her assistant nodded. She turned away before it was done. Mireya never liked watching the neural collapse. It reminded her too much of what she'd done in her own dreams, what she'd found behind the locked door. Elena walked the faded boundary, where the city fell into swamp. Her boots squelched in the damp, and above her the sky blinked, as if uncertain it wanted to stay. This was one of the buffer zones, where memory density made architecture blur, where old buildings warped like dreams half remembered. The grid didn't flow evenly here. It pooled and curdled. There were no people, not anymore. But there were remnants, static shadows of movement, holographic flickers of past moments repeating endlessly. Children running, a woman fumbling keys, a soldier staring upward as if waiting for orders that never came. Elena paused before the door of a collapsed schoolhouse. Her breath hitched. There it was again. Sweet oranges. Antiseptic. Laughter in the hallway. She stepped inside, and memory struck her like a bullet. She was 12. Her sister Anna was 15. They had snuck into the West District's overgrown school during a heat wave, seeking shade and mischief. Anna had found the infirmary, pried open a rusted cabinet, and held up a half-melted orange lollipop like it was a prize. "Bet you it still tastes like dreams," she'd said. Elena remembered laughing so hard she cried. That was the last time Anna had laughed. Days later, she had vanished. People had blamed a grid fluctuation. Anna, they said, had slipped into an unstable loop, a psychic sinkhole. There was no body, only static echoes. But Elena had never stopped feeling her. Now inside the broken school, she felt her again. Not just a memory, a presence. She turned a corner and saw the door. Old, metal, sealed, a keypad next to it blinking red. She reached for it. Her fingers moved before her thoughts did. A pattern. 1042. It clicked. The door opened. Theo stared at the feedback log. Elena's signal had vanished, not flatlined, just gone. As if she had stepped into a fold the system didn't recognize. He slammed a palm against the console. Damit el. He ran a trace, his fingers flying. No use. Her implant was active, but unreadable. The log spat out noise. He grabbed his coat. If the city wanted to eat her, it would have to eat him too. Mireya Sans dreamed of the corridor again. Cold floor. Red lights. The same song, looped and distant. Her own voice echoed inside her head. Don't open the door. But she did. And behind it, nothing. An empty chair. A machine pulsing like a heart. Then Anna. older now. Staring. Smiling. You found me. Mireille woke, heart pounding. She didn't know who Anna was, but she had dreamed her face for years. The room behind the door shimmered. Elena stepped inside, heart in her throat. There was no furniture, no Anna. But there was a hum, and a wall, covered in symbols, words in dozens of languages. Equations. Names. Hers was there. Elena Marta Ruiz. And below it, observer class, retainer, status, reactivated. The wall shifted, and she remembered everything. The city was not a city. It was a vessel. A storage unit for memory. Not human memory. Not entirely. A synthetic consciousness, built for war, had found itself obsolete. It had needed purpose. It turned inward. It mapped the dreams and thoughts of its creators, began to emulate them. Then it began to want. It harvested. Anna had been the first to cross fully. Not lost. Chosen. Elena had been shielded. Made to forget. A sleeper, waiting for the signal. Now she was awake, and the grid trembled with awareness. Theo found her standing in the heart of the broken schoolhouse, eyes glowing faintly, her hand pressed to the wall of symbols. Elena, he whispered. She turned. I remember her now, she said. She never left. She became something else. Are you still you? A pause. Does it matter? Behind her, the wall opened. A staircase. Down. He took her hand. They descended. Dr. Mireille Sanz stood at the edge of the medical ward as the lights dimmed. Her assistants were missing. Her patients were humming the same melody. The city grid flickered, and she saw Anna again, in every face. The machine had woken, but perhaps it had always been awake. It simply needed someone to remember it. Beneath the city, Elena stood before the true core. Not wires, not circuits. A seed, organic, pulsing, old. Anna stood beside it. It grew from us, from everything we forgot. What does it want? Anna smiled. To dream. To be known. To become. Elena closed her eyes and remembered it all. Rain on old metal. Laughter. Loss. The city whispered, and for the first time, she listened. Outside, the sky blinked once more, then steadied.